Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kevin Vogel. I'm the Vice President of Virtualization and Cloud Computing here at Champion Solutions Group. And I'm privileged to have Yumi Yang with us. She's with VMware. She's a Senior Marketing Manager. Yumi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're going to be walking through the VMware Roadmap and some licensing updates. I'm sure you probably know there have been some changes with the licensing, so I want you to know what's going on and how things are changing and what you can do to your environment to make sure that you're getting the most out of your VMware investment. So with that, we have an agenda here today. We're going to be going just a quick, and I promise real quick, Champion overview for those of you that don't know who Champion Solutions Group are. And then Yumi's going to be going over the new VMware licensing and upgrade promotions that will be going through the end of the year. We're going to be talking about the software-defined data center, something that VMware has been talking about for many years. Now people like to call it hyper-converged or other different titles, but it's all the same, and we'll show you what that means to you. We're going to be talking about vRealize and vSAN and what that can do for you in your virtualized environment. These are the hot products that people are talking to us about every day and starting to adopt for their environments. Things like NSX, which is virtual networking for the next generation of virtualization. vSAN, which is where storage needs to go to keep up with IT evolution. And then we'll talk about the next steps that we can do here to help you stay abreast of what's going on and how you can keep your environment running at top speed with also the flexibility to adopt all the new technologies that are coming out. So with that, just like I said, a quick 2-minute advertisement about Champion, who we are. And we really do concentrate in 5 specific areas. Mobility. Well, this is obviously probably a big part of your business. I know that it's a big part of what we do I'm sorry about that, from customers' requests. So device management and security and governance in adopting these BYOB, bring your own device to work. Cloud is a huge part of what we do, everything from Office 365 to vCloud Air and all the progression that's going on there. Everyone wants to talk about security. We have a whole security practice here with security professionals that can help you. Data management and analytics. Everyone says how valuable their data is, and it is valuable, but it's even more valuable if you can use it to generate more business. And then obviously services and consulting. We actually do install, maintain, and manage what we sell. So that's a big part of what we are here at Champion. These are just some of the awards that we won from VMware. We were their Infrastructure Partner of the Year just a few years ago. But you could see from companies from IBM and Microsoft and NetApp and Actifio and all these companies, they think we do a pretty good job at integrating new technologies into your existing environments, and that's really what we're known for here in the industry. This is just a quick timeline that's what's happened so far and what's coming, and I know that Yumi's going to be going over this in detail, but you'll see that there's a 50% off upgrade from Enterprise to Enterprise Plus. Now, one of the things I'd like to do at this point is just ask you 2 quick poll questions. This will help us make sure that we cover the areas in this webinar that you want to know about. So the first one I'm just going to put up here on the screen, and it's basically which level of vSphere are you guys running? Enterprise Plus, Enterprise Standard, or do you have another version like Essentials or the different offerings that VMware has? I'll just give this just a few seconds. We're at 44% of the people have voted already. This is just a way for us to make sure that we cover what you guys want to talk about and what's going on. And as you probably know, we're going to be raffling away a full pass to VMworld, and VMworld this year is in Las Vegas. It starts, I believe, on August 27th and runs through the 31st. Isn't that right, Yumi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a great event. I've been privileged enough to go to almost every single one of them. I missed one back, believe it or not, in 2006. But besides that, I've got to go to all of them, usually in San Francisco. But this year, they're doing it in Las Vegas. Okay, I'm going to close this poll and just ask you one other question here. And that other question is, do you want to be eligible and opt in for the free VMworld Pass? We want to make sure that we're giving it to a person that's actually going to be attending VMworld. We don't want to give it to someone and then have them not use it. So this is just a real quick poll, and this is all we're going to be asking, I promise. Yumi, are you going to be able to go to VMworld this year?
Yes, I'll be at VMworld for sure.
Okay, well, I'll have to track you down and say hello and get to meet you face to face.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thank you very much for your participation in our polls. It just makes our job a lot easier. So with that, Yumi, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll flip the slides for you. Just tell me when you want me to go to the next slide.
Okay, that sounds great. Hi, everyone. As Kevin mentioned before, I'm Yumi Hong from VMware. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager looking after the pricing and packaging for vSphere and vSphere with Operations Management. And as many of you know, we made a number of pricing and packaging changes this year in February across not only vSphere vSAN, but also vRealize, the vRealize Suite, vCloud Suite. And really the goal behind the pricing and packaging changes that we made were to simplify our lineup, because when we looked across our portfolio, we saw that the number of products that we have are growing. They're becoming more and more complex. So we wanted to simplify the SKUs and make the purchasing decision simpler for our customers. And also with the pricing and packaging changes, we wanted to add more value to the customers where we're seeing the highest adoption by providing more functionality to those additions. And so going through the pricing and packaging changes that we made to vSphere and vSAN at a high level, as you're aware, prior to the changes, we had the Essentials and Essentials Plus kits, which comprised the lowest end editions for smaller environments. We also had vSphere Standard, vSphere Enterprise, vSphere Enterprise Plus, and then we had the 3 vSAN editions that mapped to vSphere Standard through vSAN Enterprise Plus. And so we took a look at the vSphere Standard through vSAN Enterprise Plus editions, the 6 SKUs that we have there, and through the pricing and packaging changes that we announced in February, we condensed that down to 3 SKUs. So as you see on this chart, the first change that we made was we EOA'd, or end of availability, vSphere Enterprise. So as of June 30th, you will no longer be able to purchase vSphere Enterprise. And the reason that we did this was to really align with the customer adoption journey that we saw. And what we saw was that the vast majority of our customers today are buying vSphere Enterprise Plus because of the enhanced functionalities that we provide, which I'll go into more detail later. The second change that we made was we EOA'd vSAN Standard and vSAN Enterprise, also to align with the customer adoption path that we saw. One thing to note here, though, is that if you were previously a vSAN Standard customer, you can still purchase the same bundle as a la carte options. So vSphere Standard and vRealize Operations Standard, which are the 2 products that comprise vSAN Standard, are still available a la carte. So you could still buy vSphere Standard and vRealize Operations Standard to get the same functionality as vSAN Standard. And then if you could click once more For vSAN Enterprise Plus, we made a small price increase. It's about a 4% increase from $4,245 to $4,395 per CPU, but we enhanced the value of that SKU by placing workload placement into that edition. So these were all the changes that we made to vSphere and vSphere with Operations Management.
Now the big thing, Yumi, between vRealize and vSAN, which is what everyone calls the vSphere with Operation Manager, is you're buying it by processor. So anything that runs on that physical host, you get all of the benefits of vRealize Operations Management for every VM, not just a 25-pack or whatever you might have purchased, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Just for those people that maybe haven't had Operations Management before, I wanted to make sure you understood that it is by CPU.
Yes. And the Essentials and Essentials Plus kits will still stay the same. Next slide, please. We also made another change to vCenter Server Standard. So there are lower editions of vCenter Server like Essentials and Foundation. We're still keeping those. But for vCenter Server Standard, which is the vCenter Server editions that most customers use, we added 25 log streams of vRealize Log Insight for vCenter Server for free. And we're going to describe the capabilities in there in more detail in the following slide. But we also made a price increase for vCenter Server Standard. And one thing to note here is that vCenter Server Standard, unlike some of our other products, are not priced per CPU or per OSI. It's priced per instance. So we increased that price from $4,995 to $5,995 per instance. And we find that by and large, customers only own somewhere in between 1 to 3 instances of vCenter Server Standard, because if you have one instance of vCenter Server, you can manage as many hosts as you want. And so we find that for the most part, this is not a huge price increase for most customers because of the way we price vCenter Server. And we added the additional functionality of the vRealize Log Insight in there as well.
So if they already own vCenter Server, do they get Log Insight as a free upgrade, or do they have to purchase a new vCenter Server to get that?
If you already have vCenter Server Standard, we fulfilled all existing customers to this new version of vCenter Server Standard that comes with 25 log streams of vRealize Log Insight for vCenter Server, so you automatically got it.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Next slide, please. So this is going into a little bit more detail on what this Log Insight is. If you are a vCenter Server customer or a prospect vCenter Server customer, then what this enables is it enables operational visibility and faster troubleshooting. So it organizes log data and gives you some actionable insights. And so the vRealize Log Insight for vCenter Server comes with 25 log streams, so you can do log analytics for 25 log streams. It was made available with every version of vCenter Server Standard out there starting on March 1st of this year. And we listed here some of the benefits of this vRealize Log Insight. It provides predictive analytics, big data log management. It captures the log data from physical servers, your network and storage devices, your operating systems and applications, and it integrates with vRealize Operations and the VMware content packs. And so we encourage every customer to really try this out. If you like it and would like to go beyond the 25 log streams, we do have an upgrade that is available to the full version of vRealize Log Insight that provides extensibility to third-party and custom content paths, greater scalability beyond just the 25 log streams, as well as high availability and archiving. Next slide, please. So one of the common questions that we get is, what happens to the customers who are on the editions of vSphere and vSphere with Operations Management that we're removing from our lineup? And so if you are a vSphere Enterprise customer today, you have two options. As Kevin mentioned before, we have an optional upgrade that is available at 50% off from vSphere Enterprise to vSphere Enterprise Plus. So that upgrade license is 50% off, and that promotion was launched on February 10th and will run through December 26th of this year. We recently extended that promo. It was initially available through June 25th, but now it's available through the end of the year through December 26th. So that is the first option. We do realize that not all customers will want to upgrade. So the second option that you have is you can choose to do nothing. So you can choose to stay on vSphere Enterprise, and we'll support that addition through the end of the general support date. And one thing to note here, which is also available on our public FAQ, is that if you're active on SNS, we'll continue to support you, and you will be entitled to future minor and major version releases of vSphere Enterprise if they are made available per the terms of your SNS agreement. So the other option is for you to do nothing, and that way we're providing more time for planning future purchases. If you're a vSphere with Operations Management Enterprise customer, we do provide those two options as well. So you can upgrade to vSOM Enterprise Plus at 50% off the license, or you can choose to stay on vSOM Enterprise, and we'll continue to support that SKU through the end of the support period. If you were previously a vSOM Standard customer, as I mentioned before, vSOM Standard is comprised of vSphere Standard and vRealize Operation Standard, which are going to continue to be active SKUs. And so we automatically fulfill you to vSphere Standard and vRealize Operation Standard.
Now, just to make sure, they can't buy Enterprise anymore. We know that that's end of life. So they would have to buy Enterprise Plus. Can they run Enterprise and Enterprise Plus together at the same time, even before they upgrade? Yes, they can. So you can run multiple editions with the same vCenter server and the same cluster. I just wanted to make sure they know that, so I figured I'd get the answer right from you. Yep. Next slide.
Next slide, please. Yep. So this is the new vSphere and vSphere with Operations Management combined lineup. We have vSphere Standard, vSphere Enterprise Plus, and vSphere with Operations Management Enterprise Plus. And so you're all familiar with the functionalities that are available with vSphere Standard. We have our standard vMotion, high availability and fault tolerance features. So it's really for basic virtualization. If you were on vSphere Enterprise, you might be interested in moving to vSphere Enterprise Plus, and we provide some major functionalities there. And so apart from the distributed resource scheduler, which you might be used to through vSphere Enterprise, that tends to be our marquee feature. For vSphere Enterprise Plus, the key features that we hear from customers that are really valuable are, for example, distributed switch, which centralizes provisioning, admin, and monitoring using cluster-level network aggregation, storage DRS, which does DRS, so automated load balancing, but it also looks at storage characteristics to determine the best place for a VM when it's created or used over time. And then we also have host profiles and auto deploy. So it captures the host level config settings, and it saves them as a template to configure other vSphere hosts. And then we also do monitoring of hosts for any changes to the configuration. And we also automatically alert the vSphere admins if a host falls out of compliance. So there are some rich features that are in vSphere Enterprise Plus that we've seen typically drive a lot of adoption for that SKU. And then if you want to move beyond that to take advantage of some of the management capabilities, we have vSphere with Operations Management Enterprise Plus. And the capabilities that we deliver through that SKU are through vRealize Operation Standard. And it does consistent management through a common UI. We have intelligent operations, so we do capacity planning, we do predictive analytics, a lot of automation, and we do workload placement as well. Next slide, please.
I just wanted to give them, and you know, because this presentation is going to be available, we'll be emailing it to everyone. So I tried to put some definitions in here. And I would tell you that storage DRS is something that, especially with flash arrays and vSAN being available now, storage DRS is something that our Enterprise Plus customers are starting to use more and more. Just like DRS for your VMs, how they can move them around to make sure that they get the performance levels that they need. The same thing happens with storage DRS. So if you start tiering your storage, meaning you have a high performance flash array or an array that's more generic that can work for test and development or things like that, you can actually now start tiering your storage and let storage DRS dynamically move your storage or move your VMs where they need to be for the right performance. So I just wanted to bring that one up because it's something that they're starting to use more. And I can tell you this virtual GPU, as people start to get into VDI and different things around, you know, higher performing applications, especially from a graphics standpoint, that virtual GPU is another area that people are starting to utilize. So I just wanted to put this slide in there, Yumi, just so in case they needed it.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you. This is a summary of the core options that are available with the pricing and packaging changes. And this isn't intended to be comprehensive because we have a lot of different vSphere editions that may be more use case specific, like vSphere Remote Office, Branch Office. And we'll continue to offer those SKUs. But in terms of our core lineup, the editions that we have available are vSphere Standard, vSphere Enterprise Plus, and vSphere with Operations Management Enterprise Plus. So vSphere Standard for basic server consultation, vSphere Enterprise Plus to do resource balancing and to enhance your application performance, and vSphere with Operations Management Enterprise Plus, which is to enhance your vSphere environment with more operations management. And as I mentioned before, the management layer for that vCenter Server Standard now comes with 25 OSIs of Log Insight for vCenter Server. So those are the core standalone editions. We still have our vSphere Essentials kits for smaller environments, and you can use these for up to 3 virtualized hosts. So for example, vSphere Essentials comes with 6 CPUs of the hypervisor, vSphere Essentials, and vCenter Server Essentials, which is limited to 3 virtual hosts. And then we also have our vSphere Essentials Plus kit, which is 6 CPUs of vSphere Essentials Plus with 1 instance of vCenter Server Essentials. And then another thing to note here is that we have some new acceleration kits. So we had the vSphere with Operations Management Standard, Enterprise, and Enterprise Plus acceleration kits before. We introduced the vSphere Standard and vSphere Enterprise Plus acceleration kits in March of this year. And so with vSphere Standard acceleration kit, you get 6 CPUs of vSphere Standard and an instance of vCenter Server Standard, and it's at a discount to what it would cost if you were to buy these pieces a la carte. And this is meant to be more of a starter kit for smaller environments, so it's restricted to 1 kit per customer site. And the same applies for vSphere Essentials Plus AK and the vSOM Enterprise Plus AK. And another thing to note here is that we have upgrade paths available to these acceleration kits from vSphere Essentials and vSphere Essentials Plus kits. So if you're an existing Essentials or Essentials Plus customer, then you can use those upgrade SKUs to upgrade to the acceleration kits. So that was it for the pricing and packaging changes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Yumi. That was, I think, very informative for everyone. I did want to throw up just a little bit of information for the differences between the vRealize suites here, the standard, the advanced, and the enterprise, and what you get. As you can see, you know, with the standard, you do get the log insight. You get the monitoring for hybrid clouds. You do get your business for cloud standard. And you can do comparing and costing and things like that. But if you move up to advanced, you get a lot of automation that you don't get in the standard. And if you move all the way up to enterprise, you'll get operations, application monitoring, and you'll also get automation, enterprise application automation. So there are some differences between the different versions. Champion would be more than happy to come out and sit down and go over them with you individually. And then also, maybe you could just give them a quick breakdown of this portable license when you're talking about vRealize products and moving to the cloud. Is that something, Yumi, you can cover?
Sure, I can definitely cover at a high level. So VMware introduced this portable license unit. So this is for vRealize suite only. So it doesn't apply to vSphere, vSAN, or the standard standalone management products. But what it really entitles you to is management of either one CPU on-prem of a vSphere environment or 15 operating system instances of other public clouds or other on-prem environments like Hyper-V. And so it's intended to be a real enabler of hybrid cloud in terms of offering this single license unit that'll allow you to switch licenses between your private cloud and your public cloud.
Okay. Well, that sounds exciting. I mean, I know cloud is something that everyone is interested in. I know that our clients are definitely looking at moving there, and having the ability to monitor and see what's going on in the cloud is something that's been missing. So I think this is a great thing. Yumi, is there anything else you want to say before I move on to the next topics?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, Yumi, thank you very much. I think that was very informative. And now we're just going to go over some of the things that we see out there that are happening inside of our customers and what people are starting to take advantage of. And, the software-defined data center approach, which, let's be honest, that's what VMware has been talking about for the last 5 years. Now people are starting to call it things like hyper-converged and converged and all the different architectures out there. But, that's really a hardware. You still need all the software to be able to do those types of environments. So we're going to really be talking about network virtualization, micro-segmentation, and advanced security services that are available inside your virtual environment. And if you take a look at this diagram, this is where people are starting to now look at that new hardware layer and talking about that hyper-converged environment. As you know, the data center virtualization, running virtual machines and virtual networks and virtual storage is really where VMware shines. And that's what we're going to be talking about. But you're going to see that this is going to make your environment a little bit more complicated. And with complications, you got to make sure that you have a little bit more insight into what's going on in your environment. When you're running virtual networks, when you start talking about containers, which is a hot topic out there, even, if you're talking like VMs or you're talking companies like Docker or other, especially when you're running Red Hat in this environment, you're going to see more and more of these micro-segmentation of workloads, with Red Hat releasing their atomic release of RHEL, which is really built purposely to run containers, which runs great in VMware. These are the type of things you got to start looking at. And then virtual networking, the NSX product that we're going to be talking about, all these things really put that next layer of complication. It's like going from your first phone when you had simple things like your address book and you were making phone calls to today's phone where now you're doing everything from email to your calendars to really almost anything. And really ESXi and vCenter give you that first step, gave you the visibility and some notifications on what was going on inside your VMware environment when you could look at it per host or per VM. But really now with operations management, you need to look at this holistically. You need to get some dynamic thresholds and smart alerts around the applications that you're running. You'll also need to have some trends. What's going on? How can I do capacity planning if I don't have a history, right? If I don't know where I started and where I am today, how can I do any type of capacity planning, especially when your boss is looking for a budget for next year? This is really an important feature. And then utilization and efficiencies. Am I using the resources that I have inside my virtual environment to the most of its ability? And that's really where operations management really shines. So if you were to start out and start out with vCenter Server, which is a great product, gives you that first visibility, but by adding operations management on top of that, capacity and performance management becomes available to you. So now, like I said, you can do some forecasting and find out when you're going to run out of resources, whether it's memory, processor, storage, whatever it might be. You can do optimized efficiency. You can look at where you can reclaim resources that you've over-provisioned in VMs. Let's be honest, we're all guilty of building these templates and assigning the same amount of storage or the same amount of memory or CPU to a majority of the VMs in our environment, and we're over-provisioning to these environments. We could regain, I'll tell you, when we run these analysis, believe it or not, we regain 30 to 40% in almost every environment of resources that you can reuse instead of having to go out and buy more and more resources. Improve performance, finding those systems that need that extra, like we were talking about storage DRS, that extra performance gain, and provide availability and meet those SLAs that your business units are looking for. And these are just some of the things that you get out of operations management. But the beauty of it is you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be able to use all the utilities. It is very, very intuitive in how it presents this information to you. So you can look at the health of your systems, where you're having problems. You can look at your risks. What systems are overutilizing the resources that they have. You can also look at efficiencies. Like I said, reclaiming waste that's sitting out there in your environment. As you can see, if you just look at the health portion of the interface, you're going to be looking at workloads. How hard is that thing working? You're going to be looking at the normal range. Where is this and why is it now double the resources that it had? And are there any problems? Am I having an application problem? Am I having an operating system problem? Did this happen when I did some type of upgrade or patch that came from either the operating system or the application? I can look at these things now granularly inside this interface where I couldn't before with just what you got with vCenter. And if you take a look at risk, I mean, this is especially applications that can't go down. You want to look at how long before I run out of resources. When do I run out of memory that I'm going to run out of sooner or later, or CPU or disk storage or network or whatever it might be? How many more VMs can I deploy in this environment based around my history, right? Based around what I've done to this point. How many more VMs can I stick in this environment before I start denigrating the performance that I'm seeing there? And are there any undersized workloads out there that right now I'm putting under stress? I'm running them harder. Should I be reassigning some resources to these workloads, especially if they're a tier 1 workload that a lot of people are working on? And then if we talk about efficiencies, and this is where the dollar savings really comes in, this is where the operations management pays for itself over and over again. because you're talking about how efficiently you're using the resources that are running inside your environment today. You can improve your VM to host consolidation ratio. This will show you how dense you are, whether you're running 11 to 1, 11 VMs to every host that you have. How can I get that to 15? How can I get that to 18? And make this even more efficient in what you're doing. So these are new things that you're going to find in Operations Management 6.0. Things that like looking at SQL Server, Oracle, Exchange, SAP, some of the applications that you might not have run prior to having all this information inside of a virtualized environment. Now you're looking at it as a way to actually give you more insight and more visibility into that application set. If you're talking about big data, if you're talking about Hadoop and platform as a service, this is another area where in operations management you get that visibility. The smart alerts and the capacity management alone will give you the insight into your environment that you've never had before and give you really that enhanced intelligence that you're looking for. And then you could start talking about policy management, writing custom policies that apply to specific workloads and applications inside your environment. These are all now built into operations management in the new version of 6.0. And especially if you start now adopting things like NSX and giving yourselves that next generation of networking, security, and services that are now at the hypervisor level, where you can do things like load balancing at the hypervisor. You can do L3 routing and L2 switching and firewalls at the VM level. So something that is almost impossible to do at a physical networking arena, you can now do very, very easily at the virtual networking layer by using NSX. So you can isolate your development from your test, from your production, and have no communication path between them. Or you can start to talk about segmentation, talking about putting my web applications on a certain subnet, doing my applications that need to communicate with databases on a whole separate network path, so you can control the communication in between the workloads that need to have that type of communication. And then obviously you can do some advanced services and be able to now set up that platform as a service or that platform environment where you could take a multi-tiered application, segment it inside its own environment, and really give your end users or your customers that sub-millisecond response time that they look for from these application sets today. So something that you can, and then by using the vRealize, you can see what your changes are doing on a real-time basis and make sure that you adopt them as you need them. So this native security that's built into NSX, everything from high throughput rates that most people don't really have the ability to do when we're talking about a per hypervisor basis. You can look at every hypervisor. It adds additional east to west firewalling that you can now take advantage of, a virtual interface that's easy to manage, policies that you can set up, and then standard NSX tagging for all that content sharing that you want to do across security controls. These are automated provisioning. They allow you to do add and moves dynamically as you need them, and they give you that centralized interface. I can tell you that NSX, this is probably the hottest product that we talk to customers about, and they all want to know how they can integrate this into their existing environment without breaking it. And that's really where Champion's networking practice actually has a huge step up on a lot of people because of the experience of doing this product in a lot of different environments, whether, you're an Arista or whether you're a Cisco or whether you're a Brocade, whatever environment you're in. And as you can see, you can reduce your provisioning time from weeks to minutes by going virtual. You can have self-service cloud and use vRealize automation or even OpenStack if you're a big, open source partner. All of this integrates with NSX, live migrations of workloads, provisioning, all of this comes with that. And you can reduce your RTO by 80% when we're talking about disaster recovery. So all of these things included in NSX, and really all you have to do is start taking advantage of it. But another area that this hyper-converged or this software-defined data center is storage. And this is another area where VMware has done a really fantastic job in now having the ability to have storage on your local host and give it the ability to look like a SAN, give it the ability to have all of those advanced features and really make it seamless to your end users where things are running. So it gives you the flexibility to meet demand of your changing workloads. This is where, especially when you go to Enterprise Plus and you're talking about storage DRS and the ability to dynamically move workloads around, this is where you're going to see the real value of vSAN. It gives you the agility to respond swiftly to dynamic technology and market conditions and efficiencies. It reduces capital and operating system expense because you're actually using the hosts inside your virtualized environment instead of going out and purchasing expensive disk arrays that just do one thing. So if we look at what VMware vSAN is, it is a virtual SAN that's radically simple. And it's enterprise class software-defined storage that's powered by VMware's hyper-converged software solutions. So if you're running, 6.0 on your environment, you'll be able to take advantage of vSAN in your environment. You'll be able to optimize for all-flash arrays, get up to 100,000 I/O ops per second per host. So we're talking about a really high-end environment that's integrated with VMware. So you can do things like vMotion and DRS and HA and all the advanced features that you can use inside your VMware environment. And you can see that it's the best storage for VMs. It's optimized to run in vSphere. It's enterprise class, and it's business critical application ready. So it's ready for you now in version 6.2. And I will tell you that there are some new things that they have in 6.2 that we're going to go over here real quick. But you can actually do this two different ways. You can do it in an all-flash array and get, like I said, 100,000 I/O ops per host with sub-millisecond latency. You can also run it in a hybrid environment where you can use SSDs, you can run standard disks, and give yourselves a caching environment, a read-write cache, and still get 40,000 I/O ops per second per host at a very, very reasonable price without breaking the bank. If you're running flash arrays, you're going to see that you now have some options. One of the things with vSAN is that you basically lose half of your disk to be able to run in your vSAN environment. So you have a 2x overhead. If you bought a terabyte of disk, you'd see 500 gigs of usable. But now, running in your flash arrays in the new 6.2, you'll be able to run RAID 5. You'll be able to run RAID 6. Now, there are some minimum requirements. You got to be able to run at least 4 hosts. If you're running RAID 6, you got to be running at least 6 hosts. But you can see that you're going to get all that parity. You're going to get some of the advances where you're now being more efficient with the disk drives that you're purchasing. So really an enhancement that you're going to see. And then quality of service. This is a new key feature in 6.2 that gives you complete visibility into your IO ops per second and who's consuming them, give you the ability to do one quick config limits on VMs, eliminate noisy neighbor issues, so anyone that's trying to grab more IO ops than you want them to, you can actually go in there and now limit them, and you can do this management performance SLAs and do it by VM. So it's really now something that gives you that flexibility, especially, obviously in the VMware environment. And it's also going to give you client cache. It's going to give you swap space. So these are just some of the new features you're going to see in 6.2. So you can do performance monitoring, which is built in. You can do your capacity monitoring to see where you are. You can do any type of health and performance because it's got APIs that are built in and health checks that are right there in an easy interface for everyone to be able to use. You don't have to be that storage administrator that has been trained for years and years, knows all about LUN masking and all the different techniques that they need to do and short stroking of disks and so on. You can now become a very, very efficient storage manager without having to go through the years and years of turmoil that they did. So let's talk about where we go from here. What Champion is offering is, first of all, review your existing virtualized environment. We have the ability to come in there, sit down with you, figure out where you are today, where you want to go tomorrow in your virtualized environment, and help you set up the architecture that you need to be able to do that. You could see a full live video of vRealize. Now, this is the whole operations management suite in a live environment, not just a video, not just showing you the features that we want you to see, but give you the ability to actually go through any part of vSAN or vRealize operations management and walk through a whole demo of exactly what you want to see. And this can all be done live and remotely, so you don't have to come here to Champion. We're in Boca Raton, Florida. Summertime's not the best, but, in the wintertime, it's not too bad to come down here for a live demo, but we can do this remotely anywhere in the country. You could sit down with one of our networking specialists. Like I told you, a lot of experience around NSX and how and where it's right in your environment to deploy NSX. And then let Champion help you review your VMware licensing and help you deploy your virtualized strategy going forward with all the new licensing and all the new products that VMware is coming out with. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions. In your control panel, you can see that there's a question panel in there. We've been trying to answer them as we go here, but there's some questions here like Todd asked us, is there 4 virtual CPUs referenced in the slide about the licenses and the kits a limit for the VMs or for the hosts, meaning 2 physical procs with only 2 cores, each per license, or each vCPU just for VMs. And I'm assuming you're talking about how it's licensed. Everything is licensed per physical socket. So I don't care if you have 2 cores or 12 cores, this is licensed on a CPU physical socket basis. Yumi, is that correct?
Right. I was also thinking this might be in reference to the slide that I had on the different editions where I show fault tolerance, and standard has a 2 vCPU limit, vSphere Enterprise Plus and vSphere with Operations Management Enterprise Plus have 4 vCPU limits. So, fault tolerance does, continuous availability, and the vCPU requirement is actually more around fault tolerance for workloads of up to, for example, 2 vCPU for standard and 4 vCPU for vSphere Enterprise Plus and vSAN Enterprise Plus.
And Todd just said, yep, that was it. You got it exactly, Yumi. So thank you very much.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, great. So the next question comes from Tim. If you have Enterprise Plus, what does the cost of the annual support look like? So Yumi, I know that it does go up a little bit, right? It goes up the difference between what Enterprise was and what Enterprise Plus is, correct?
Right, yeah, so it does go up by the difference of vSphere Enterprise versus vSphere Enterprise Plus. Our SNS is 21% of the license for basic SNS and 25% of the license for SNS. And then you may get some additional discounts on top of that, so it'll vary a bit by customer, but by and large, it should be the difference between vSphere Enterprise and vSphere Enterprise Plus.
So yeah, I mean, if you were paying, X before, it's going to be X plus, a little bit for, the Enterprise Plus. But if you look at all the benefits you get out of it, I think it pays for itself pretty quick. Chet asked a question here. Log Insight. What constitute a log stream? VM host. So 25 streams could mean 25 VMs or 25 hosts.
Right. So my understanding is that it's 25 hosts, but I can go back and check. I believe it was hosts.
I believe it is too, but it's best to verify that. And Chet, I have your name, and since you registered, obviously, we have your email address. I'll make sure that we give you a specific answer, but I'm pretty sure it's hosts.
Yep.
All right, and any other questions? I know that we're coming up to the top of the hour, and you guys have been fantastic staying on here. Okay, thanks. That's vSphere Enterprise Plus, vRealize 6 Enterprise, and SRM Enterprise. What is the impact on our licensing? That's another question from Chet. Chet, the one thing that we can do, I have your information. We will call you up individually, and I promise our licensing specialist can go over exactly what that's going to mean to you and give you, all the insight we can on how it's going to affect your licensing. Question on Essentials and Essentials Kit. Sam, you got to ask me the rest. How do they compare to Standard as far as a feature set?
Right. So in terms of the features, hold on. Let me go to...
I believe they're almost identical, to be honest with you. I believe you get HA, you get DRS. You don't get DRS for storage.
You don't get DRS.
Right.
Yeah, so Essentials Plus and vSphere Standard are pretty similar in terms of functionality, but the difference is that for Essentials Plus kits, you can only buy vCenter Essentials, so you can only manage up to 3 virtual hosts. Whereas vSphere Standard gives you the scalability because you can purchase vCenter Server Standard with it and manage vSphere Standard with vCenter Server Standard. So scalability is the key differentiator between Essentials Plus Kit and vSphere Standard. Essentials has just the basic features, so I believe the only ones are hypervisor and vMotion.